Hello, good people. Welcome back to another blessed message with Lady Ni, also known as Minister. I'm so excited. I'm super excited about the work that God is doing in the lives of His people. He's calling some folk out at this hour. He said, "Hey, I need you on this team. You are going to serve in the army, the army of the Lord." You hear what I'm saying? So the title of this message is "Smarter Than the Average Bear." Yes, some people are smarter than the average bear. Okay, so this was a slogan that Yogi Bear, for the people who watch animated television back in the day, Yogi Bear, he used to use that. He used to say that. So it was a famous quote. I'm smarter than the average bear. Okay, so when that came to me, I don't know. Again, God speaks to me in weird ways. I'm set apart. I'm odd, unique. It's okay. And even so, I had to do some research on bears. Okay, what are their capabilities? What have they been known for? Okay, so I looked it up and I found that bears are quite intelligent. Well, according to humans, because we have to investigate everything and do some research um, and play around with folks. So, even with that knowledge, I learned that bears can count, they use tools, they're able to problem solve, they're also able to communicate across the species divide. And that's really important and significant because they're able to convey their feelings and thoughts with humans. According to some research that was done, you can look it up for yourself, or you can attempt to examine this with a bear. I don't recommend it, but to each their own. Okay, so typically when we think of average, that means the norm. Okay, that's the standard, the bare minimum. The average person can do it. So if you're saying you're smarter than the average bear, that means you excel, you exceed those expectations. Okay, so in my mind, I'm like, well, how was he smarter than the average bear? Okay, I wasn't a big Yogi Bear fan or watcher. However, I remember some things about this particular bear. And the thing is, he could outwit and outsmart the tourists in order to capture their picnic baskets. Because Yogi Bear had to go, he wanted to eat. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to eat the picnic basket food, whatever was in there. And he had a way to actually get his needs met. Okay, he figured out a way to get what he wanted. Again, bears are great problem solvers, and that is identified by how they're able to utilize the forestry to get their needs met, to get their food. They have also been found to be able to open doors, car doors, house doors, things like that. They use their nails to open the locks. That's pretty wise, okay, for a bear. He was cunning, clever, and very persuasive in terms of Yogi Bear to get his next meal. Okay, so this is reminding me of a story that we talked about when it came to Jacob and Laban. Okay, and we talked about this story, but God said you have to reiterate some things so people know. Some folk are just highly favored. They're intelligent. They're wise beyond their years. You hear what I'm saying? And in this case, it was Jacob. So we'll be in Genesis 30. We'll start at verses 40. Well, verse 40 through 43. And before we get there, though, let's frame it. So we know that Laban had kind of tricked Jacob into working for him for several years because of agreement they made regarding marriage. So Laban agreed to allow Jacob to marry his daughter. However, he tricked him and he married the wrong daughter. So he had to reignite another agreement, or reestablish an agreement with Jacob in order for him to marry the right daughter, the daughter that he had selected in the first place. Okay, so all these years again, Jacob is working essentially for free at this point. He's working and he's learning. Okay, just like bears. Sometimes we underestimate people based on where they are in life, based on their current position. But God says sometimes that's just the preview before the premiere. You cannot doubt people. can't underestimate God's people. God can use anybody. That person that you dismissed, that you looked down upon, that you said was never going to be anything in life, God can raise them up and put them in a high position. You hear what I'm saying? So that was the case of Laban and Jacob. Laban had underestimated the fact that Jacob was actually learning. He had learned some skills. He had developed abilities. He was watching. He was observing to the current situation. And, again, over time, if you repeat certain things, you master them. He was a skillful shepherd at this point because he was keeping the flock. But I say this in the previous video. For those who watch, the thing is, when you're working on one task, it's other things going on around you. So you start to absorb that information as well. So he knew the plants. He knew all about forestry. He knew about mating. He knew about all these significant things that would help him later. See, the thing is, when you're not paying attention, there's always someone else who is. Laban had allowed Jacob to work in his capacity, and he supported it because he didn't have to do the work. And yet he forgot the fact that Jacob was absorbing more than the average bear. He was smarter than the average bear. So let's look at verse 40 of that chapter 30 of Genesis. It says, Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. So again, if you recall, because you read your whole entire Bible, right? Jacob said that he would remove the streak and spotted. Those animals that were less than. They were less than perfect. They were abnormal. They looked odd. They was messing up the flock. You hear what I'm saying? They was dark colored. So he said, I'm going to take them out for you, Laban. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to do you a solid. Smarter than the average bear. Okay. Thus, again, he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. So what Jacob did, he said, I'll keep the streak, the spotted, the abnormal, the odd, the weird animals. I'll keep them for myself. Okay. I'll give you the ones that look pretty, the perfect ones, the beautiful ones, the ones that meet your standard. I'll give you all of them. Smarter than the average bear. Okay. And whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches and the troughs in front of the animals so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. So he knew how to mate the animals, where the streaked, the spotted, the dark colored ones, they were actually the stronger of the flock. Hello, somebody got to hear this right now. Now, the ones that looked pristine and pretty and beautiful, they were actually the weaker of the flock. Jacob knew this. He was smarter than the average bear. He was using his mind, his wisdom. Okay? Sometimes the people that look weak, the soft-spoken, meek individuals, they're stronger than the average bear. They're smarter than the average bear. Jacob was underestimated in this case, and so are some of you. Some people look at you and say, you ain't it. You don't dress the part. You don't look the part. Your hair too short. Oh, you too fat. We ain't gonna use you. And yet, God will use you. You'll be the stronger. Because you'll be the smarter. You'll be the wiser. You have to know this. Somebody has to hear this right now. This is serious. This is serious because in life, people can affect how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, okay? They can affect how you feel about your image. And yet God says, walk in your purpose. Walk in your purpose. Don't give up. I can use you. I will use you. See, Jacob knew this. Jacob knew this. Laban said, okay, yeah, I want the best ones. The best ones. But again, God has a standard and then man has a standard. And in this case, Laban neglected to acknowledge the fact that God is supreme in all of this. The outside appearance is one thing, and what looks good to you may not look good to someone else. Okay? And what doesn't look good to you may look beautiful to someone else. It's subjective. And in this case, God is the ultimate authority over that. Jacob knew that. He knew how to use the same attack that was used against him against the next person. In this case, it was Laban. Laban had tricked him previously, and Jacob said, you know what? I'm going to use my wisdom, the God-given wisdom, to ensure that we are victorious in the end. Okay? So, again, the weak animals went to Laban, and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and maidservants and men servants and camels and donkeys. So at the end of the day, Jacob was able to increase that little bit, that streaked, that spotted, that dark color. He was able to increase. It said he grew exceedingly, and prosperous. He grew based on that flock that nobody wanted. Based on those animals that appeared to be a certain way, and yet they were stronger. That's the message. So somebody's going to underestimate you. Okay. You might look like Yogi Bear. Somebody who, oh, he's just a bear. He's just a friendly bear. And yet, behind the scenes, he's the one who's able to solve the problem. He's the one who is clever. He's the one who is most persuasive. He knows how to get his needs met. You hear what I'm saying? Because he's smarter than the average bear. Okay, stop underestimating folk, okay? Because you don't know who God is going to use. That's why we keep our hands clean and our mouth off of folk. You hear what I'm saying? That's the word of God. All right, peace-filled people. Be blessed always, walk in righteousness, and leave each day like it's your last. Talk to you real soon.